opposition point rely on if our proposal is optional. So we'll engage on that context. Assuming that it is optional, ladies and gentlemen, they told you that it will disadvantage a black community who want to stay in the current state. So they'll respond. Firstly, funny. The fact that they want to stay on that current state, that means that they feel more benefit on it. So we are not discussing on those type of black community. What ours are concerned about are the black people that is continuously oppressed and disenfranchised by the majority. That is to say, we are not discussing about Obama. We are discussing about the students in public schools, a black community in a public schools that is continuously oppressed by the white community. We are talking about the black applicants who are continuously refused by the company simply because they are black, and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. So finally, we think that the problem in their side of the house is even more chronic, because the people, because they try to assume that the people who in status quo is already more open to this black community will be worsened and will be more evil in our side of the house. The problem in this point is that because they never characterize to you on what are the people in their side of the house, we think that it will be less likely to happen. Let's characterize those type of people that is more open in their side of the house. We told you that those type of people are the people that is more open-minded, the people that is more tolerant and understand the feeling and the experience and the suffer of those black community. That is to say, we don't think that just because we try to separate other black community with their life, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will turn into the evil side, ladies and gentlemen. Precisely in our side of the house, those type of people is even more like try to be more accommodative to the black community, because they think that their effort is not enough and they will push themselves a lot to be more progressive again and again. So we don't think that it will happen in their side of the house, ladies and gentlemen. Before that, yes.
If the chance is also equal, then why another black people can be progressive and get such benefits, then why other black people, like what you have explained, is still struggling? We don't think that's exactly the case, because we need to cater all people.
No, we don't think that the chance is equal. We believe that in your side of the house, the chance of this black community to be more discriminated is even more in your side of the house. I will explain to you in my second issues. Why do we think that discrimination is not happen in our side and it happens in your side of the house? The problem in government team, opposition team, is because they told you that discrimination is still happen in our side of the house, given that geographical barrier is not significant. Firstly, we told you that it will contradictory with the initial point delivered by leader of opposition, because they told you that the source of discrimination is because these black people is perceived as a threat. We told you that precisely because these people is perceived as a threat, because they are continuously shared their own daily life with this white community. So because we separate these people, these white and black people, that means that the threat of this of this white community for the black community will be very minimum. We also told you, ladies and gentlemen, that geographical issue is significant to reduce the case of discrimination, especially to the black community. We talked about the corps will not be able to misshoot the black people if they share a similar environment. We talked about the white students will not be able to consistently discriminate the black community if they share similar schools. So that is why we think that geographical issue is really significant. We also told you that comparatively, the reason why in our side the progress of peace for the black community will happen is because like this black community can share their own environment with the people that understand their life more, ladies and gentlemen. But even if in our worst case scenario, yes, there is still a discrimination because yes, there is still a discrimination to the black community. Then we talk to the very least, in our side of the house, the supporting system of this black community is even better than in your side of the house. Why it can be? Because in status quo, the reason why the supporting system of the black community is really minimum is because other black community is afraid to take a risk to join a specific movement, for example, or is afraid that once they are identified as the more vocal society or more vocal black community, then precisely then they will be perceived as a threat, just like what leader of opposition want to assume. Then that means that means because they are not ready to be perceived as a threat by the white community, then they will shut then they will remain silent. So that's why we think that the idea of supporting system is better in our side of the house, because the risk of them to involve in a supporting system, which is any social movement, will also be very minimum. That is why in our side of the house, even if discrimination will exist, but to the very least, your supporting system to recover your emotional situation and whatsoever will even greater. That is why we think that the first issue go in our side. But secondly, let's talk about the proportionality. Whether or not it is a proportionate way to give special land to the black community. Opposition team claim that it is not proportionate because one, it should be based on severity. Secondly, it is not proportionate because you are not invaded. Your land is not stolen by other party, and so on and so forth. Firstly, we agree that it should be based on severity. That is why my Prime Minister told you that we should give more to this to the more oppressive society, thus they will have an equal starting point to begin with in society. But secondly, yes, we agree that this black community is not invaded, and also their land is not stolen. But the thing is, the harm that they receive for too long is just equal with the harm of invasion, ladies and gentlemen. We told you that for far too long, we told you that they only experience a significant discrimination outside of their home. For example, you are misused by the cops just because you are hold a phone and just because your skin is black, and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. Even in status quo, they claim that anti-discrimination laws still exist, like providing special schools for the black people, quota for black people, and so on and so forth. Firstly, it's dismissive to the status quo situation when education quality in special black community school is very severe, when companies also have their own authority and autonomy to select their own applicants, and so on and so forth. So we don't think that opposition team will win just because they rely on status quo is progressive. Lastly, it is about the principle of taxation itself. They told you that taxation should also cater more society. That is why we justify the establishment of bridges, hospital, and so on and so forth. We think that this point is dismissive to my Prime Minister point, because we told you that the benefit of taxation can only be received and felt by all society if they have power and willingness to access public facility. The problem in status quo is that because in your world, this black community is really afraid to go to public facility because they are afraid that they will be discriminated once they access hospital, once they access schools, and so on and so forth. That is why it's better in our side, because the allocation of taxation will suddenly felt by this black community because they will not afraid to go to hospital, schools, and etc. The motion still stands. Thank you.